That's okay. Here we are. Welcome to my studio.
Oh, this is nice.
There you go. My favourite 260s albums.
That's amazing. A lot of guitars.
Yeah, I got another room full of guitars, amps, all sorts of stuff. There's my favourite guitar, Rickenbacker 360.
I like that.
Plays beautifully. Sat in this studio since the day I bought it.
Well, that's quite impressive.
Absolutely brilliant. Now here we have the monitors, the Adams, Yamaha NS10s, which you need for tracking and fine tuning on a mix. Good all round monitors. And a couple of normal hi-fi speakers as well. And here we have the Focusrite ISA. Absolutely brilliant. The preamps are really good in the desk as well, but this gives a slightly different flavour. And they're a reasonable price as well. Don't be under the illusion if you go out and spend £2 on a preamp, a Neve or whatever, it's going to be any better than this. It won't be, I assure you. It's just different, that's all. Here we have lovely DBX compressors and DS's. If you ever see these for sale, buy them. No question.
So what's made this studio so popular with young bands?
Well, success, I presume. I've had a few hit singles, albums that have charted. A few years ago, I did an album that went platinum. We mixed it all at the Grand Army in Paris. Great experience for me. I think what the young bands like about this place is, well, they get a lot of time. I get much more time here because I don't charge a fortune, so they can afford to experiment more. And all guitar bands love a big analog desk.
So, do you prefer to work in the box or through the desk?
I don't mind working in the box. I mean, I've got thousands of plugins now. I mean, thousands of pounds worth, certainly. And you can get great results, but just the fact I bought this lovely desk is, well, it just shows how much I love working in the analog world. I mean, the preamps and the EQ, the signal path in general, I honestly think it's better than any other desk I've ever had. And I've had Rain Dirks and Neves. I've worked on all sorts of desks. I just love this desk. And so do the people who come here. And the fact that it's got automated faders as well. I mean, back in the day, this desk would have probably cost you 50, 60 grand. And of course you've got the option to use it as a brilliant 24-channel summing mixer. Yeah, my old Rain Dirk was a brilliant desk, but I swear it used to cost me £100 a month to keep it going, just for maintenance. I've got some lovely vintage compressors and stuff in the other room, but not very practical, I'm afraid.
Ah, veranda. That's unusual.
Well, I spent half my life in dingy studios. Yeah, it's nice to sit out there and have a break. I've got another place downstairs. Nice lounge, TV, Wi-Fi.
So do you work all this equipment?
Yes, I do. I use all these keyboards. If I have a band in, I just let them have a play. I'll go and have a coffee maybe. Let them get on with it, see what they come up with. I think they prefer that. They're very hands-on, these keyboards.
What's your favourite type of work? Mixing or recording or a bit of both?
I really don't mind, actually. I mean, I started as a tape-op at Morgan Studios in London in the late 70s. I think my first job was Gary Moore. So I very quickly got to know what a great guitar sound is. Then the whole punk thing happened. which was amazing for us engineers. We had to work really fast. Then the electronic music scene absolutely exploded, and that was interesting. You know, I went from Spandau Ballet to Mel and Kim and Lonnie Gordon, the Hit Factory, and then I found myself back mixing Rory Gallagher, so yeah, I don't mind what I do really. I mean, you can get all these accolades and stuff, but I remember I was in Portugal and I got a phone call from my publisher, and she said, you ever heard of Tim Rose? And I said, yeah, Tim Rose. Walk Me Out in the Morning Dew. That's right. And Come Away, Melinda. She said he wants to do your song, Natural Thing. And I'll tell you what, it's the biggest buzz you could ever get. And not only that, he actually came down to my studio and recorded the whole thing on the track that I'd already done. Just took my voice off, put his voice on. It was such an honour. It's those sort of things that keep you going.
You do training as well, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I quite like it actually. You know, working with young would-be producers and stuff. You know, showing them or helping them to sort of design their tracks for the radio or big and fat and powerful for an album track, whatever. Or just basic training. It's mainly one-on-one tuition. I don't do classes or anything like that. Actually, a lot of my work is bands that come here to mix when they're not happy with the mix they did elsewhere. Here's some of my older outboard gear. Reverbs, delays, compressors. I still use them. I use them quite a lot actually. They're really great for teaching. And of course the sampler. Everybody loves a hardware sampler. It's amazing. This thing's been going for 20 years. Absolutely faultless. So here's my Focusrite Penta. This is really good for recording guitar. All presets. You can put any amp for a little one like this one here.
Yeah.
Or a great big stack, doesn't matter. Handles it really well.
Do you actually have a name for the studio?
Not really, I think it's quite informal these days. People just know it as TC's place.
Oh, I see.
Nice and low key. Now over here we have the Quantum. What a machine this is. Again, if you see one, buy it. Having said that, they rarely come up for sale. I've got loads of master and plugins, but this hardware version, absolutely awesome.
So what time do you normally finish? Have you got a cut-off point, or do you just work until ever you feel like working till?
Well, it depends on the artist really, but no, I'll go on as long as they want to generally.
You must be very patient.
Do you know what? I just want to make records that still sound great in 10 years or maybe 15 years time. I've never really jumped on the flavour of the month wagon. That doesn't interest me at all.
Well, thanks again for showing me.
No problem, thanks for coming.